Hey guys, what's up? This is my first video because this is my wife Karen's YouTube channel. Well, mainly hers. I'm normally behind the camera, so you might hear me, but you've probably never seen me before since we started this channel. Um, Unfortunately, my first video is going to be a bit of a sad one. I have to say we lost um, Grandma, our cat, aka Grandma. Unfortunately, 12 days ago she passed away. Um, she's only actually been a little bit on this channel so far because we've only really just started it in January, so I think she's only been in one or two videos. But a lot of the nice comments we had so far were people who thought she was really cute and wants to comment and say that. Um, so what happened? So Grandma was very old. She was 19 in cat years, which in human years would actually be around 92. Um, so one morning I'd come to work on a Friday morning. I came really early because one of my hobbies is running. So I'd come in, say goodbye to Karen, say goodbye to Grandma as normal, about 6:30 in the morning, came here to work, went off for a run in the park, did a 2 hour run, got back in my office, said morning to my colleagues, went off for a quick shower. Whilst I was in the shower, Karen had tried to ring me. So when I got back to the office, one of my colleagues said, "Your wife's tried to ring you. It's very urgent. Ring her quickly. Go somewhere private." So I went somewhere private, was trying to ring Karen, couldn't get through. Then I noticed Karen left me a voicemail, and I could hear her saying in the voicemail goodbye to Grandma. So then I kind of knew something was wrong with Grandma. So I came back to the office really frantic, saying to my colleagues, "What's wrong? I can't get in touch with her, I can't get in touch." They were just like, "Keep trying, keep trying." Anyway, eventually I got in touch with Karen, and Karen just said, "Yeah, she's died. You need to come home." So I got in the car. My colleagues were really great. They said, "Yeah, just go, just go." So got in the car, drove home, and Grandma was there on the bed in my place, her favourite little place, and Karen had just put a little blanket over her, and I don't know, I didn't even believe she was gone because she just looked like she was asleep. She looked so peaceful and content. Just like, I'll put a little picture up now to show you just how she always looked so content and peaceful when she slept, and she looked just like that. I just stroked her little face and gave her a kiss. I didn't even really believe she was gone, so it didn't really hit me. So what happened was, luckily Karen had still been there at the time. Apparently Grandma had let out a sort of really painful yowl, and Karen was in the bedroom putting some clothes away in the wardrobe and turned around, and Grandma's neck had kind of gone to one side. So Karen rushed over, and then her sort of head turned back around, and Karen just stroked her, and she said she could see her chest kind of palpitating, and just slowly her eyes shut and she just went to sleep, and that was it. Karen thought she'd had a little heart attack. So when I got back, we put her in a little box and phoned the vet. We took her to the vet because I was so convinced, like, because she was still so warm and just like she was asleep, that maybe she wasn't gone. So we took her to the vet. There was a really nice lady there. She'd met Grandma a few times during her life, so we went into the lady vet, and she listened to her heart and said, "Yeah, she's definitely gone." And Karen described what had happened, and she said, "Yeah, she had a heart attack and died." So we took her down to somewhere in Surrey, a lovely cat crematorium, and they've got a place there where you lay her out in the chapel. And by then I could really tell she was gone, because she'd sort of lost a bit of that colour in her fur, and the warmth had gone from her body, so I could really feel like she wasn't there anymore. And that was when I really... I hadn't actually cried until then. I'd even rung my mum when we were at the vet to tell my mum that Grandma had died, and my mum was like burst out crying. Luckily my mum was on a day off, so she was actually still in bed, and then when I told her, she like burst out crying. I was good to that point, but when we got to the crematorium and we saw Grandma just laid in the chapel, that was it. I just cried like a child. Karen was the really strong one. So we said goodbye to Grandma, and then went off for a while and came back later and got her ashes. And that was about 12 days ago now, so we've just been really, really gutted ever since, because she's left such a massive hole in our lives. I mean, she was a very old lady, and we knew her days were kind of numbered. A couple of years ago, she was diagnosed with a thyroid problem, and at the time we had a choice of either medicating her or having an operation on the thyroid, which we had chosen to give her medication just based on the fact that she was already so old, and we felt like putting her through an operation was, because she'd had one a couple of years before that for dental work, and she'd really suffered during that operation. So we thought, at her age, she was 17 2 years ago, and the vet estimated that she'd have 1 to 2 years life expectancy taking the tablets. So everybody agreed with the vet's advice that it was better for her just to keep taking the tablets, because probably a couple of years was her natural life expectancy anyway. Because all that weekend I was obsessing. I was thinking, oh, was it only 6 months ago when we were first told that? Like, thinking, did we do the right thing? And I look back at all my bank statements, because it was actually Grandma's bill had gone up a lot, her care bill. From 2 years ago, suddenly it went up, it almost doubled every month, which she was worth every penny, because she was a very special cat. I know we all feel that about our pets, they're worth everything really, because they're a member of our family. So I know that it was her time to go, and she was an old lady, and also her death was so lovely because she was such a clingy cat. You probably got that even from the couple of videos she's appeared in, that she constantly wants to be by your side, she constantly wants attention, especially as she's gotten older, she's become clingier and clingier. So it's lovely that Karen was there as well as she died, that it was sudden, that she didn't get ill, like so many older cats particularly get ill and they suffer, and then you have to make a horrible decision about, whether or not to put them to sleep. But we never had to make that decision for Grandma, so in some ways I'm grateful because that was nice, but in other ways it was a shock. So I'll tell you a little bit about Grandma's backstory, because she had quite an interesting life, did Grandma. So Karen originally got Grandma and her son Tig in 2013, which is before me and Karen got together. I'll tell you, eventually on this channel, I'll tell you mine and Karen's story, which is interesting as well. So Karen got Grandma and Tig in 2013 from a website called Pre-Loved. So there was a lady, because actually yesterday we were putting a photo book together of all Grandma's old pictures that we've taken. We wanted to put all in a photo book. So we've got, because looking at old pictures of her, I know sometimes people can't look at pictures after someone's died for ages because it upsets them, but I think it's really been comforting us, just because we keep looking at these pictures and thinking, oh, she had such a lovely life, because she's so happy in all of them. So we put this book together, and Karen actually found the emails between herself and this woman when they were negotiating her having Grandma and Tig. Well, Grandma was actually called Lucy at this point. She wasn't Grandma until later. So Tig and Lucy. So Karen went down to Guildford, met this woman's family. Apparently what happened was the family had had dogs, and Lucy and Tig, the 2 cats. Then the dogs that they had died. They got new dogs who didn't get on with the cats. So unfortunately they chose to rehome the cats, which I don't know why they did that. From a selfish point of view, I'm very pleased they did. So in 2013, Karen got Lucy and Tig, came to live with her. Then, about a year later, in May 2014, so me and Karen had just made friends at this point, Karen had to put Tig to sleep because unfortunately he had throat cancer and they didn't detect it until too late, and it was incurable, and he was put to sleep. And then me and Karen made really good friends that summer of 2014. We became really, really good friends, and eventually that developed into a relationship. And I actually moved in with Karen quite quickly. So by October, November 2014, I'd actually then met Lucy and started spending a lot of time at Karen's place. And then by the March 2015, I moved in. And I'll put a picture up from the first day I moved in, a picture of me and Grandma. And that's when Grandma got her name Grandma, because when I moved in, Karen said to me, well, now you're moving in, do you want to be Daddy? For Lucy. And I said, well, I don't think I can be Daddy. I said, she's old enough to be my grandmother. And that's where she got the name Grandma. So that's her backstory. And then I've known her just over 4 years now. Just 4 years, which it seems so strange because to me it feels like she's been a part of my life forever. At some points we always joke as well. Karen would be jealous because me and Grandma were so close. I think because Grandma was always quite possessive. I wonder sometimes, if I know animals don't think the same as us, but they must feel grief, and she must have been upset when her son died, and the fact that he just one day didn't come back. And even though that was the right thing, and if she could have logical thought and understand that he was sick, he would have suffered had Karen, not had him put to sleep, it still must have been hard for her. And Karen said she did look for him for quite a long time. So sometimes I wonder if me coming along then a few months later was maybe quite a nice thing for her, because the one thing about Grandma, I've had other cats growing up, but one thing I really found about Grandma was she had such a maternal nature, and I wonder if that is because she, at least from what we know, had one kitten. And I mean, I assume she must have had others, because normally they would have more than one. The woman that Karen got them from didn't really know much about their background, but indicated she hadn't had them their whole lives either. And Karen often thought they'd originally been strays at one point, because they, particularly Grandma, always had a thing about black bin bags. She quite liked to lick them her whole life. Never interested in what was in the bin bag, but if you left a bin bag down, she'd go up and sniff and lick it, almost like there was something she had done from a young cat. So that's what's been happening with us. So we've been really, really sad these last 12 days. Everybody at my workplace has been amazing. All my work colleagues even signed a condolences card for us, which is so sweet and meant so much, because where else would they sign a card? But I think it's a difficult thing, because in some ways I'm lucky, because even at my age I've never really lost anybody that I've lost family members, but nobody that I've been that close to, because pets are probably the only people other than small children or maybe your husband or wife, not husband and wife, that you hold, that are close to you, that are physically close to you, and then when you lose them, that's just such a loss. And I think anybody that's had a pet that they've adored gets that, and maybe people that haven't don't get that as much. And so that can be, it's interesting. Some people really get it, some people don't. So it's been really tough for us, and we've been really grieving a lot for her. And because she was so old, and she had this enormous amount of tablets she used to have to take in the morning, in the evening. It's really funny, because Karen used to be able to just put her head back and quickly put the tablet down, which I could never do that, because I'm not quite confident enough to be rough with them, which I know you have to be cruel to be kind, but I was never good. So I was always more of a tricking her into taking the tablet sort of approach, and then when she wouldn't be tricked, Karen would come in and get a bit heavier. But it's funny, because she was so old, our whole lives revolved around her. Even if we wanted to go away on a holiday or anything, we'd have to actually get people in to sit, to actually stay overnight and care for her. And then this year we'd actually said now she's gotten so old that we can't have a holiday this year, because we just can't leave her or ask other people to take care of her. So in a way it makes it even worse, because when you've got that responsibility, you've got to be able to sit back at a certain time to look after them, to do things for them. It's kind of then an interdependence. Like, she was so dependent on us that we became dependent on doing those things for her, and that was such a part of our daily routine. And when it's gone, me and Karen would just sit there now and look at each other like, oh, what do we do? Normally we'd be doing this now with Grandma, or that with her. And I know it sounds crazy, again, because if you've ever had a loving pet, you'll know. If you haven't, you might think we're just nutters. But yeah, so it's been so sad. But that's why I wanted to give a little update, because we've not really done any other videos for our channel, even though it's really new. And we've had a few people follow us so far, which is really nice, and leave nice comments, so that's really great, because we just really wanted to start this channel for us and to add to the community, and just for fun, for a project as well for me and Karen to work on together, because You know, Karen's a librarian and has been for many years, and I'm actually doing a library qualification. I'm doing an MA in Library and Information Studies at the moment. I'm still quite early into it because I'm doing it distance learning, so it's going to take a long time, but because I'm passionate about this field as well, so it's quite nice that it's something me and Karen can work on together. So thanks for bearing with us, and yeah, at this hard time, because it has been really hard, but we're going to get back to it. So anyway, I'll check out for now, but we'll be back soon with another video. Take care. Bye.